of note to people is that West Fraser anticipates that they are likely going to be able to go back into the burnt wood next winter for a third season. So that's positive news. And then they all gave their silviculture reports about the planting for this year. I think of note, Tolko's planning to plant about 18.8 million trees. On May the 12th, I attended Module 2 of the Elected Officials Education Program for Regional Partnerships and Collaboration. On May the 18th, I attended the SETI Workshop number 5, which is essentially was our graduation ceremony, which I believe the mayor gave an interview in last week's Echo. On the 19th, I attended the third and final module of the Regional Partnership and Collaboration session. And then on May the 20th, attended Mackenzie Regional Waste Management Commission board meeting. And that's all I have. Any questions? All right, Councillor Anderson.
The only thing I have to report on is on May the 12th, I attended a high-level library board and Mackenzie County Library Board meeting. Started out quite informative and then kind of degraded from there, but some nice information from the county on how they run some of their programming with COVID that I thought might maybe pertain to our library, and they may find some things they can implement. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Morgan.
May the 12th, I attended the same library organizational meeting that Councillor Anderson attended. May the 18th, I attended the SETI workshop. We've graduated. That's awesome. May 20th, I also attended the Waste Commission meeting. I'm pleased to report that I am the new chair of the Waste Commission, and we will be looking to hire some new positions. I'm meeting with the landfill manager tomorrow to review resumes and to do job postings. May 25th, we had a CEC meeting, and the biggest thing coming out of that is we are going to be doing a needs assessment for the region for continuing adult education needs. We're just putting together a working group right now, and then there will be questionnaires and some working groups to try and find out what needs there are in the region and how the college can provide for those needs. So stay on the lookout for that. And that is all I have to report.
Any questions? Oh, Councillor Welke.
On May 18th, I also attended the SETI Town High Level Working Group graduation, which was great. And today, along with Councillor Morgan, I attended the CEC meeting. And for all the updates there, you can refer to Councillor Morgan's report. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Someone prepared to move those reports as information?
I'll move the reports as information.
Councillor Morgan beat you to it. All in favor? Carried. The council action list. Any questions? Someone prepared to move this as information? Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried. So old business, the Vitalization Grant Program policy. This is a rise and report from our last committee of the whole meeting. Any further questions? Someone prepared to move the recommendation? Councillor Morgan, all in favor? Carried. New business, the land management policy and inventory. Again, this is a rise and report from the committee of the whole. Any further questions on this item? Someone prepared to adopt the policy? Councillor Welke, all in favor? Carried. The regional services sharing.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, I was on mute. I just had a question. When we're adopting these, is that the two recommendations combined into the one motion?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Sorry, and that was your motion then to for both?
Yes.
All right. Sorry, all in favor? Carried. The regional service sharing regarding the mediation. We need a motion to ratify attendance on June the 5th. Someone prepared to move that? Councillor Morgan, any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. The Airport Beautification Task Force administration, or I guess Director
Deputy Mayor, that'll go to Director Straw.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. Let me just find that. I'm on the wrong page. So as part of the Airport Task Force, the administration support to that, the task force has made a recommendation to Council to do some work at the airport. We've been meeting regularly every month, looking at, missed one, I guess, but looking at the airport terminal itself right now and what we can do to enhance or beautify the inside. We have looked a little bit at the outside also. And one of the recommendations coming out of this task force is to look at our kitchen that's out at the airport. The kitchen was originally installed in 85-ish when the airport was upgraded, and it did function quite good for quite a few years. I think the kitchen had a lot of business due to forestry and the services they had out there, as well as a slightly higher commuter load at that time. With the change at forestry and having their own kitchen and a few things there, the kitchen slowly decided to quiet down. Now, I don't remember exactly when the kitchen went out of service, but I know it's been at least 15 years that equipment's been sitting there and hasn't been used. So the beautification task force has looked at that space and they would like to renovate it. Currently, we don't, or the task force doesn't have any specific recommendations on what they want to do. We've looked at possibility of a gift shop, place to maybe show some local artwork, potentially sell some, maybe an extension of the museum. There are a lot of good ideas coming out of the task force, but at this point, what the recommendation is we'd like to empty that space out, sell off some of that kitchen equipment in there that's listed in the pictures. There's a stove and a range hood and dishwasher and some stainless counters and stuff. Clean that area out and start preparing it for future use. I think at the interim, it would be a good staging area for some of the projects we're looking at, like flooring and painting. And then in the end, maybe we can make a decision and reach out and find out what that area will be used for. As part of that removal of the kitchen equipment and changing over that kitchen area to a usable space, there are two refrigerator units in there. And there's also a request to move those two pieces of equipment to the public workshop to be used for grass crew and our shop type activities for storing water and ice and food and stuff like that. So that's pretty well it. So our recommendation is, as posted, that they reallocate the airport refrigerator / freezer to the public, and then the sale of the remaining kitchen equipment to be added back to the airport reserve. Does anyone have any questions?
No, I don't think so. Is someone prepared to move the recommendation?
I'll move the recommendation, alternative one.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Next is Councillor Welke's item that we moved.
I was just reading these letters for correspondence, and I noticed that this one had a bit of a request for a response from municipalities. So I wanted to discuss it amongst council, whether or not we should adopt, I guess, and to understand what that means exactly, to adopt officially that how do they term it? June is Recreation and Parks Month. If we were to sign this proclamation, I like the idea. And I think it would be good to get behind, but does it have any impacts for us as a municipality? Are we bound into any kind of advertising commitments for this initiative or anything like that? Perhaps to administration?
So, Mr. Deputy Mayor, if I may.
Certainly.
The town does have a proclamation policy. I've just forwarded it to the councillors for the review, but it's really quite short and sweet. It's a policy of the council of the town of High Level. The request for proclamations will only be considered when such proclamations are presented or endorsed by a local individual group or organization, and where such local individual group or organization have arranged for a significant event recognizing the purpose of the proclamation to take place within the community. And then it goes on to say council may recognize proclamations by declaring such proclamation at an open council meeting. So it doesn't stop the town from making a proclamation as well, but I believe the intent of council was to proclaim things of which the community was going to be involved with or have events scheduled. Okay, so this could come into effect via other municipalities and things, and if it's out there and then we want to adopt it at a later time, if we have more initiative behind it from our own community, that we would look at it more formally at that point. Is that how these kind of work? Yeah, generally. I mean, there are some things that are pretty much standard with that the town is involved in, say National Fire Prevention Week, that type of thing, that are pretty much routine. But actually, maybe, Mr. Deputy Mayor, if you don't mind, hate to put her on the spot, but maybe Director Rolfe has some input on this. They may actually have something planned.
Certainly.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. Yes, actually, for the month of June, we're doing a marketing piece with communications officer, and we're highlighting all our parks. And with that, we're also going to be promoting people to go out in the parks, and then we're going to ask them to kind of show what activity they're doing. So we're wanting people to know parks are there and green spaces are wonderful, lots of activities that you can do, and promote that just as a health and and as a health and mental benefit for yourself. So but we're not doing anything formal. We're not running any specific programs or anything. We have in the past, but this year we're just promoting our parks. Ironically, when we ran the Frostival and put different things in every parks, people were asking us where the parks were. So we thought it would be good to promote our parks.
Thank you. Any further questions?
That's good. Thank you.
Are you prepared to move that we make a proclamation, or would you like to accept it as information?
I'll move that we accept this as information.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Is someone prepared to move 15.1 and 15.2 as information? Councillor Morgan, all in favor? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Deputy Mayor, item 13.4.
Oh, my apologies. I was so
anxious. I was going
to Councillor Wells, straight over. So the granular activated carbon replacement.
That'll be Director Straub's as well.
Sorry to try and cut you short.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. You had me worried there for a minute. So before you, the RFD before you is in regards to our granular activated carbon. This process is part of our overall treatment plant. It's nearing the final phase of treatment. So it works similar to for those who don't know out there, it works similar to a Brita filter. All the water that we produce travels through the carbon. Some of the organics and a few of the other components that may occur in water are absorbed through that process, and some are broke down. Now, the replacement practice in the past was to purchase it throughout a couple of years and store it outside under tarps, but we found it to be quite detrimental to the quality of the carbon. We replaced the carbon early last year. We found that its depletion was really rapid, and I think that could be two causes. We did have a wet year, and there was a lot more organic carryover for some reason. And we also tried a different quality of carbon. It was the cheaper version, we thought at the time. They are random, I guess, in their qualities. So we did do some testing here recently, and we found that our THMs, which are a byproduct of chlorine and organics, are above the 0.1 in the Canadian drinking water guidelines. So we do need to change it out. We've sourced a few more different types of carbon this year. The price before you is the lowest. It also has the quickest delivery time of 3 weeks. Our process next year, we're hoping to bring this back to the budget meeting at the end of the year and add it within the operating budget on a yearly schedule, I guess, as a reserve. That way we don't have to bring a consumable product every time for funding. We'll put it within the budget. If it's not required, we would like to just carry it over to the following year, so it's an ongoing budgeted item. The current cost of the carbon is going to be $115,000 delivered, and that's 65 500 kg bags of carbon. So it's a fair amount of product, and we are doing some treatment testing right now, trying to lower the precursors through the other processes. That includes everything from the raw water from the lake, working with some new products within the plant, and changing some of our chlorine injection points to try and lower the demand on the carbon. I believe the radio did a broadcast on that the other day on some of the stuff we're doing. So if you have any questions, I'm open to questions.
Anyone have anything?
I have one question. Deputy Mayor to Director Straub. Under the legislation and policy, can you clarify where it says that we must ensure our water quality does not exceed the Canadian drinking water guidelines?
Yes. So the Canadian drinking water guidelines recommendation is to not exceed 0.1. So as soon as we exceed 0.1, they consider that a non-compliance, and we have to correct it as soon as possible. So that's why we're needing to change out the carbon.
Oh, okay. I sort of had interpreted that as we're not to let the quality of our water get any better than the standards that they that they have. That's how it looks to me. So
yeah, so that is the upper limit. So we always have to stay below those limits. And as soon as we exceed that limit, and if you're looking, it's 0.1 milligrams per liter or 100 micrograms per liter. It's a very small amount, and it doesn't take long. Within a few weeks, it can change from being, well below the guideline all the way to just over. So by changing it now, we're going to reduce the level quicker. Again, it is a non-compliance issue with Alberta Environment. It's reportable, so we have to show that we're in the process of changing it. Again, it's one of those things that it's a consumable, like a Brita filter on your tap. One day it's fine, and then the next day it's not. So it's, especially when you're moving through 1.5 million liters a day, it's kind of hard to guess where it's going to end up. And the quality of the source water is constantly changing. That's why we're doing a variety of testing this year to try and figure out ways to mitigate some of the load on the carbon. It is very expensive, and it doesn't have a second use.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Director Straub? Is someone prepared to move the recommendation, even though it's slightly out of order?
I'll move recommendation for alternative number 1.
All right, all in favor? Carried. Now I'll ask if someone's prepared to move 15.1 and 15.2 for information. Councillor Morgan, all in favor? Well, sorry to make it so short and sweet for the public portion of the meeting, but that brings us to the conclusion of the public part. And I will now entertain a motion to move in camera. Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried.